Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to tell you all the important details from the Q4 and financial year 2022 Tesla earnings call. It was a great earnings call. I did a video just before the call came out, then it was only this deck available, and this was like a meh deck, but obviously this was without the commentary of management. And boy, did they knock it out of the park with this call. There were some very good things covered, so I just want to go over the most important things for Tesla, long-term Tesla investors. So as always, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get some exclusive content, like you want to get access to my stock market strategy and the valuation models that we use, then check out the first link in the description box below, which takes you to our Patreon, where you can support the channel for $5 a month. Okay, so let's start this video. So in the beginning of the call, Elon takes over and he says that this has been a record year with 1.3 million cars delivered and 17+% of operating margin, which is the highest of any volume automaker, and he thinks probably the highest of any automaker. And I read a tweet by Tom Nash, which I thought was quite funny, that Tesla's operating margin is higher than the gross auto margin of basically all the automakers. So that is really a very, very good number. Then they did 12.5 billion net income in 2022, very, very nice, and 7.5 billion net cash flow. Now this, I wanted to check what exactly they mean by net cash flow, because as far as I remember, the net cash on Tesla was like 19 billion or 20 billion coming into 2022, and it's now 22 billion. So for me, that's like a 2.5 billion, but maybe they're excluding CapEx or something. Then the first thing that Elon opens with is he's like, everybody has been asking me and I need to put it to rest. Demand is not a problem. He said that in January they are seeing the strongest volumes they have ever seen. So he didn't say the strongest volumes that they have seen in January. He said ever. And he said currently the order volume is more than 2x their production. And you know, you would have the tendency to think about this, that, okay, so the demand is they made 1.3 million cars last year, so this demand is 2.6 million yearly demand. But you would be wrong, because their production capacity is about 500,000 cars per quarter. And he is seeing that's what is happening in Q1, hopefully, and they are seeing double that. So there is like a demand out there currently for 4 million Teslas. So that's really, really good. And he also pointed out that basically the auto market is contracting. So they're having this demand despite a contracting auto market. So this just shows how needed and wanted EVs are. Then on top of this, he's saying that they are making very good progress on cost control, and they go later in more detail that what they mean by cost control is getting the Austin and Berlin factories fully ramped, because that decreases the cost per every unit of car produced in those factories. And then on top of it, they have other cost control measures. They gave very good examples that because they have Tesla insurance now, so they are designing cars in a way that, you know, lessens cost. And for example, because they have such a big fleet now, they get data on how much certain parts last. And for example, they noticed that on the drivetrains, they designed them way too good, and they can, you know, make it worse without affecting the quality of the car. So that is also going to play into their margins. Then they went into numbers that we know, like there's 400,000 FSD beta users, and this makes Tesla a AI company, and I agree. And Elon said that the strategy moving forward is to sell every vehicle that they make. And he specifically said that retail investors like us get the fact that their cars, they can sell software to the cars. And I actually think that this doesn't get enough attention, that when Tesla starts producing, 5-10 million cars a year, and 10 years from now, let's say they have 100 million cars on the road, and then let's say that they have a take rate on the FSD of, I don't know, 20-30% of the fleet that is on subscription for FSD at basically zero marginal cost. That is a money printer. And I'm going to go into it in future videos. And this is what Musk was also emphasizing here, that the retail investors really seem to get it, but not the analysts. Then, a very funny thing, then they went into the investor questions and they took retail investors before they took the Wall Street analyst questions. And one of the questions, which was really good, by the way, I mentioned this many times in my other videos, that Tesla is sandbagging their numbers like crazy. So one of the questions was, you decrease the price, what's going to happen with the auto margins? Is it going to go below 20%? And what's going to happen with the average selling price? Is it going to go below 47,000? And they gave the perfect sandbagging answer, which was like, so many things can happen and we don't want to guide on this, but we think that it will be above this. So that means that we're going to see, they are thinking with having a auto gross margin of a lot more than 20%. That's what I got out of it, but they are not really answering on this question. And then the CFO, Jack Kircoin, I don't think I said his name right. He also said that people are not correct focusing on the auto gross margin because they are a mature company now and they should be focusing on operating margin. And this is also where software income comes in, which happens after the car is sold. And they're very much focusing on operating income. So I actually really like that answer. Then a very funny thing, Tesla was asked about their brand image and how Musk's political commentary has destroyed the brand and what do they see on the orders. And there's all these surveys that show that Tesla brand is not so favorable. And Musk gave the funniest answer. He said, let's take a look at my Twitter. My subscriber count is growing very rapidly and I have one of the most prominent social media accounts on the planet. So I seem to be reasonably popular. And yes, for sure, some people complain. But this needs to be, that's a loud few that complain, but I'm quite popular. And this is actually so true because just the fact that they are having 2x the order flow coming in than they can produce is showing that there is zero brand damage. This is all just yapping and false news from the media to get clicks and, I don't know, run some leftist agenda. But the Tesla brand is alive and well. Thank you very much. So then they reiterated that Cybertruck production is going to start in the summer. And then Musk, of course, brought up a very good point, which was that it doesn't make sense for Tesla to come out with a lot of new car models when you have not handled the battery bottleneck, because then you're not accelerating the world to sustainable energy. All you're doing is you're increasing your complexity in the manufacturing without increasing the volume that you can put out. So this is why, models are delayed, and this is why I guess the Tesla Roadster was so much delayed, because they haven't figured out how to sufficiently supply the batteries, and then they didn't want to cannibalize on the Model 3 and Model Y sales, which was a very good decision. Then somebody from Wall Street asked, is the take rate of FSD increasing? And Musk said that, of course, as they are unlocking more and more features, more and more people are buying it. And he again stressed that people don't appreciate how much of an AI company Tesla is. And Wall Street doesn't seem to get it. The retail seems to be getting it. And he reiterated that he thinks Tesla is going to be the most valuable company in a few years on the planet, and I'm a believer in this, actually. Then somebody asked them, like, who do you think your closest competitor is in the car market and on autopilot, and who do you think is going to be around in 5 years? And this could be a potentially very heated question, but I think he answered it very well. He actually said that just before the conference call, he met with the Tesla AI team and he asked them the same question, and they couldn't even come up with the number 2. Like, he doesn't even think anybody is any place close to them. And he did say that the Chinese are very competitive in their auto production, and they work very hard, and I guess they take decisions fast. And he thinks that the Chinese will be around, but Tesla has a very clear lead. And he thinks another thing that is not appreciated in Tesla is how good they are at manufacturing. And he thinks that, for example, the battery manufacturing is going to be the hardest thing to replicate when you're trying to compete with Tesla. And he pointed out that in Giga, Nevada, they have a 100 gigawatt hour, a 35 gigawatt hour production facility for the old batteries. And then they're building the 4860 cell for 100 gigawatt hours, so 3x the capacity. And he pointed out that it was a fraction of the 35 gigawatt hours. So they have improved, I don't know, an order of magnitude in production space with that factory. And he said this is what is going to be very hard to replicate for other companies. So overall, this was a fantastic earnings call. They really put to rest, in my mind at least, the demand problems. They were sandbagging like crazy. They reiterated the 1.8 million target, but Musk even said that their eternal production rate is closer to 2 million, but he wants to say 1.8 million just so people don't freak out if the number becomes 1.950 because there has been, tsunami, COVID lockdowns or whatever. So this was a very good report from a long-term perspective. Unfortunately, the stock rallied. I really wanted to come down so that I can add to my portfolio. But let me know, what do you think about this call? What was your biggest takeaways? You can write that in the comments. Make sure that you're subscribed, and why not check out the Patreon down in the first link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.